Her words struck uncomfortably close to the truth. Behind closed doors, He-Jun accelerated the extraction plans. Soon, massive mining machines would be secretly assembled deep underground, ready to begin stripping Earth of its resources. The humans will thank us later, he told Tawu. Once they understand that sacrifices must be made for the greater good of the galaxy. But he had fatally misunderstood human nature. When Minho managed to hack into the exchange center systems, discovering files detailing the planned mining operations, he knew they had all been deceived. The Council didn't see humans as equals to be welcomed into galactic society. They saw Earth as just another world to be exploited. We have to warn everyone, he told Hai-Jin, sharing his evidence. They're planning to hollow out our planet from under our feet. As Hai-Jin prepared to expose the truth to Earth's governments, Jinwoo was already moving to silence them. The humans are becoming troublesome, he reported to Hai-Jun. Perhaps it's time we showed them their true place in the galaxy. None of them realized they were about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity. The Council thought they were dealing with simple, primitive beings who would accept their fate. They were wrong. Dead wrong. The betrayal would awaken something in humanity that the Council never expected. A burning rage that would shake the galaxy to its foundations. The ground trembled beneath New York City as massive mining machines chewed through the Earth. Commander Du-Yan Park watched from his control center, monitoring dozens of similar operations worldwide. The Council had abandoned all pretense of secrecy, now openly extracting Earth's resources with brutal efficiency. Environmental scientist Su-Jin Kang stared at her readings in horror. The underground drilling is destabilizing entire ecosystems, she reported to the emergency UN session. Groundwater is being poisoned. Fault lines are shifting. If this continues, whole cities could collapse. Her warnings echoed those coming in from around the globe. Rivers turned toxic near mining sites. Sinkholes swallowed neighborhoods. Strange earthquakes shook regions that had never experienced them before. Diplomats Ji-Hu Lee and Young-Mi Kim gathered proof of the Council's violations of their own galactic laws. They prepared to present their findings to the Galactic Senate, hoping to force the Council to stop the destruction of Earth. But they never made it. Council ships intercepted their shuttle. For your own safety, the Council guards said as they led them to cells in an orbital prison. Through the station's windows, they watched helplessly as more mining ships descended to Earth. Protests erupted worldwide. Millions of humans surrounded the mining sites and Council facilities, demanding an end to the destruction. They came with signs, not weapons, with songs, not threats. Councillor Jae-Hook Choi viewed the protests with cold annoyance. These humans need to learn their place, he declared, and gave the order that would change everything. Council security forces descended on the protesters with sonic weapons and neural disruptors. They claimed they were using non-lethal means to disperse the crowds. But the weapons, designed for alien physiologies, had devastating effects on humans. Thousands fell, blood streaming from their ears. Children collapsed in seizures. The elderly died from heart failures triggered by the sonic pulses. Still, more protesters came. Stop this madness, Su-Jin begged during an emergency broadcast. You're not just killing us, you're killing our entire planet. Minutes later, Council forces stormed the broadcast station. Her signal cut off mid-sentence. From their cells in orbit, Ji-Hu and Young-Mi watched the violence unfold. They think this will break us, Ji-Hu said quietly. They don't understand what happens when humans have nothing left to lose. He was right. Something changed in humanity that day. The sight of peaceful protesters being gunned down, of children convulsing in the streets, of their world being torn apart, it awakened something primal and terrible. The protests stopped. The streets emptied. An eerie quiet fell over Earth's cities. The Council thought they had won, that humanity had finally accepted their fate. Commander Du-Yan Park noted the silence with satisfaction. Finally, they learn obedience, he said to his staff. But in hidden bunkers, abandoned mines, and secret facilities across the globe, Humanity was not surrendering. They were preparing. The rage of an entire species had been ignited, and the Council was about to learn why every human child knew the old warning. Beware the fury of a patient man. The breaking point had been reached, and humanity's revenge would shake the stars themselves. The massive exploration vessel Stellar Dawn emerged from hyperspace near the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. On the bridge, lead scientist Dae-ho Kim stared at his readings with growing excitement. After 20 years of searching, they had finally found something extraordinary. Council Representative Park, you need to see this, Dae-ho called out, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. Ji-won Park floated over in the zero-gravity chamber, her ceremonial robes trailing behind her. The scan showed billions of electronic signals bouncing around the blue planet. Cities dotted the continents like clusters of stars. Primitive spacecraft orbited the world, while radio waves carried music and messages into space. They're on the brink of achieving faster-than-light travel, Dae-ho explained, pointing to energy readings from several research facilities, maybe a decade away at most. Ji-won frowned. The Council had strict rules about contact with developing species, but something about these humans seemed different. Their technological progress was incredibly fast compared to other races they had encountered. Look at their history, Dae-ho continued, bringing up more data. They went from first flight to landing on their moon in just 66 years. Most species take centuries to make that leap. The Council ship watched Earth for 3 months. They learned the humans' languages, studied their cultures, and analyzed their potential. Ambassador Yuna Lee prepared for first contact, designing careful protocols to avoid frightening the natives. However, Council member Sun Mei-cho had serious doubts. During private meetings, she argued against contact. They're too aggressive, too unpredictable. Look at their entertainment. They're obsessed with stories about fighting alien invaders. But the decision was made. On a clear morning in July 2157, the Stellar Dawn descended through Earth's atmosphere, its massive form gradually becoming visible to the waiting crowds below. The ship landed in a designated area outside New York, where world leaders had gathered. Yuna Lee stepped out first, her translator working perfectly as she greeted humanity. "We come in peace, seeking friendship between our peoples," she announced to the billions watching worldwide. The humans' reaction surprised everyone. Instead of fear or panic, they showed intense curiosity and enthusiasm. They asked countless questions about space travel, alien cultures, and galactic politics. Their scientists immediately began proposing joint research projects. Dae-ho found himself working closely with human researchers, amazed by their creative approaches to problems. They thought differently than any species he had encountered before. When faced with obstacles, they rarely gave up. They just found new ways around them. But Sun Mei-cho kept watching and worrying. She noticed how quickly humans adapted to new technologies, how eagerly they absorbed information about weapons and defenses. In private reports to the Council, she warned that humans might advance too quickly to control. "They're like children playing with fire," she wrote. "They don't understand the dangers of the galaxy yet. And when they do learn, who knows how they'll react." The Council ignored her concerns. Earth was officially welcomed into galactic society, though classified as a protectorate species. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. Everything seemed peaceful on the surface. But no one realized they were making a terrible mistake. By underestimating humanity's potential, by seeing them as primitive beings to be guided and controlled, the Council was planting the seeds of its own destruction. The humans might appear friendly and eager to learn, but they had another side, one that would emerge when they discovered the Council's true plans for Earth. Dae-ho Kim recorded one final note in his log. "These humans are remarkable. Their greatest strength isn't their technology or their resources. It's their determination. When they set their minds to something, they achieve it, no matter what stands in their way. I hope we never give them reason to turn that determination against us." He couldn't have known how prophetic those words would become. Hajun Park sat in his private chamber aboard the Council's command station, studying the latest mineral surveys of Earth. His thin lips curved into a smile as Chief Engineer Ta Woo Kim's report confirmed what they had suspected. Earth was a treasure trove of rare elements vital for advanced space travel. "Look at these readings," Ta Woo said, pointing to the glowing holographic display. "There's enough quantum-grade minerals under their cities to power our fleet for centuries. And they don't even know it exists." Deep beneath the ruins of Seoul, Dr. Sejong Park hunched over a dismantled Council engine, his eyes burning from lack of sleep. His underground lab, hidden from Council sensors by layers of lead and scrambling tech, hummed with stolen alien equipment. "It's not just about copying their technology," he explained to his team. "We need to improve it, make it ours." For 6 months, they had worked in secret, studying every piece of Council tech they could salvage or steal. Above them, Council ships patrolled Earth's skies. Technology Officer Yoon-ji Kim performed routine scans, confident in the Council's superiority. The humans had been subdued, their resistance crushed, or so she thought. The first sign that something was wrong came when a Council supply depot vanished. Not destroyed, simply gone, along with all its advanced weapons and ships. Security footage showed nothing. Then it happened again, and again. Military bases, research facilities, entire Council outposts, disappearing without a trace. The truth was revealed when the first human ships appeared. They seemed to fade into existence like ghosts, using modified Council stealth systems in ways their creators had never imagined. Dr. Sejong's team hadn't just copied Council technology. They had reinvented it. Military strategist Hyun-woo Lee coordinated the attacks from a hidden command center. "Council ships are fast, but predictable," he told his pilots. "They rely too much on their computers. We'll show them what human instinct can do." The first major strike targeted a Council fortress in the Himalayas. Council guards watched their radar screens, seeing nothing until it was too late. Human ships, smaller but more agile than Council vessels, phased through the base's shields using frequencies the Council had thought impossible. Mei-rae-song, a representative of a species long enslaved by the Council, witnessed the attack. She had come to Earth expecting to find another broken world. Instead, she watched in amazement as human fighters danced through Council defenses like water through stone. "How?" Yoon-ji demanded when the reports reached her. "Their technology is primitive. We destroyed their facilities. This shouldn't be possible." But humanity had done more than survive. They had evolved. Every Council weapon used against them, every piece of technology meant to oppress them, became a tool for their liberation. They took the Council's machines and reshaped them with human creativity and desperation. The Council had given humans access to advanced technology, thinking they were offering simple tools to primitive beings. They never realized they were handing weapons to a species that had spent its entire history adapting, improving, and turning its enemies' strengths against them. Dr. Sejong watched the battle feeds with tired satisfaction. "They thought they could break us," he said, his hands still working on new improvements to the captured tech. "Instead, they taught us how to break them." The Council was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their stolen technology. It was their ability to take what was used against them and transform it into something their enemies had never imagined possible. The age of human submission was over. The era of human innovation had begun. Fleet Admiral Ta Min Park stood on his command bridge, watching in disbelief as another Council battleship exploded silently in the void of space. His superior forces, equipped with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy, were being decimated by human vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. "Impossible," he muttered, studying the battle displays. The humans weren't fighting like any species he'd encountered. They ignored standard military doctrine, using tactics that seemed insane, until they worked. Commander Sang-hoon Kim led the human resistance from a mobile command center, constantly moving to avoid detection. His guerrilla teams struck Council supply lines with surgical precision, using stolen technology in ways that defied conventional warfare. The Council thinks in straight lines, Sang-hoon explained to his officers. They expect us to fight like them, with big ships, head-on battles, and predictable strategies. So we don't. Human ships would split up during battles, seeming to retreat in panic, only to regroup and attack from impossible angles. They modified their engines to perform maneuvers that Council ships couldn't match without tearing themselves apart. Every defeat taught them new ways to fight. Security Chief Da-Yun Lee saw the pattern emerging. She sent urgent reports to Council High Command. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were learning, adapting, evolving their tactics with each engagement. Her warnings were dismissed as hysteria. They're primitives with stolen weapons, her superiors said. Nothing more. The turning point came during what should have been a routine patrol. Captain Jin Choi's flagship, the Eternal Dawn, was the pride of the Council fleet. Its shields were impenetrable, its weapons unmatched. No species had ever successfully boarded a Council capital ship. Until now. The human strike team used modified Council teleporters in a way no one had thought possible. They materialized inside the ship's shield envelope, not in the designated transport zones. By the time the internal sensors detected them, they had already reached the bridge. Jin-A watched in shock as human commandos emerged from the shadows. They moved like water, flowing around energy blasts, using the ship's own security systems against its crew. Within minutes, the Eternal Dawn belonged to the Resistance. "You don't understand us," the human team leader told Jin-A as she was led to the brig. "The Council thinks technology makes them superior, but humans, we've spent our entire history learning to fight stronger enemies. It's what we do best." The capture of the Eternal Dawn changed everything. The Council could no longer dismiss the humans as primitive savages. They had proven themselves capable of things that should have been impossible. Admiral Ta Min faced a terrible realization. The Council hadn't just underestimated humanity's technological capabilities. They had failed to understand the human factor, the determination, creativity, and sheer adaptability that made humans unique among all known species. They had pushed humanity to the breaking point, never realizing they were creating their own worst nightmare. A species with nothing left to lose, armed with advanced technology, and driven by an unshakable will to survive. The galaxy would never be the same. Jun-Ho Park stood before representatives from 20 different alien species, each one formerly under Council control. The meeting took place on a hidden space station, carefully shielded from Council detection. "Look at what we've achieved in just 3 months," he said, displaying holograms of successful human strikes against Council forces. "Now imagine what we could do together." The aliens watched with growing interest. Many had suffered under Council rule for centuries, believing resistance was impossible. Yet here stood humans, newcomers to galactic society, who had not only fought back, but were winning. Council enforcer Sun-Wan Kim's defection changed everything. As one of the Council's top security officers, he brought with him access codes, defense plans, and most importantly, proof of the Council's lies. They told each species the same story, Sun-Wan explained, his voice bitter, that they alone were primitive, that only Council guidance could save them. "But Earth showed me the truth. The Council only understands power, not progress." Admiral Min Seo Lee's Liberation Fleet grew with each passing week. Ships from different worlds, crewed by various species, learned to work together under human leadership. What started as a human resistance became a galactic revolution. "Humans think differently," a reptilian commander observed after their first joint operation. "Where we see obstacles, they see opportunities. Where we accept limits, they find ways around them." Former Council diplomat Ne Young-song proved crucial in bridging the gaps between species. Her years of experience helped forge understanding between races that had been kept apart by Council manipulation. "The Council's greatest fear was always unity," she told the growing alliance. "They kept us divided, suspicious of each other. But humanity's rebellion has given us all something we never had before: hope. The Alliance's first major victory came at the Battle of Proxima Station. Human ingenuity combined with alien knowledge created strategies the Council couldn't counter. Ships from a dozen worlds moved in perfect coordination, using tactics no single species would have conceived alone. Council propaganda called it an insurgency. Reality called it liberation. Planet after planet joined the human-led alliance, each bringing unique strengths to the fight. "We're not building an empire," Jun-Ho declared as more worlds pledged their support. "We're building a future where every species is free to reach its full potential." The Council had created their own nightmare. By trying to keep species divided and controlled, they had given them all a common enemy. By underestimating humanity, they had given the oppressed a leader who knew how to win. The galaxy was changing, and for the first time in millennia, the change was for the better. Supreme Counselor Dong-Hyun Park stood in the center of the vast courtroom, his once proud uniform now stripped of rank. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched as evidence of Council atrocities played on massive screens. For millennia, the Council claimed to guide lesser species. Chief Justice Jae-Yun Kim addressed the assembly. Instead, they enslaved worlds, destroyed cultures, and committed crimes against all sentient life. The trial lasted 30 days. Each species presented testimony of Council oppression. Earth's testimony was last, showing how humanity's resistance had sparked a revolution that freed the galaxy. Dong-Hyun watched his empire crumble as former Council worlds declared their independence. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty of crimes against sentient beings, the Council's 1,000-year reign ended not with a bang, but with the quiet scratch of a pen signing their surrender. Admiral Woo Jin-Lee led the peacekeeping forces that helped worlds transition to independence. The challenge wasn't just dismantling the Council's military. It was building trust between species that had been taught to fear each other. Freedom isn't just about breaking chains, Woo Jin told his officers. It's about teaching people to walk on their own again. The formation of the Galactic Federation marked a new era. Unlike the Council's forced unity, this was a voluntary alliance of equals. Each species contributed its unique strengths, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. Se-Yoon Song's election as the Federation's first president surprised many, including herself, a former diplomat who had helped forge alliances during the rebellion. She understood both the power of unity and the importance of preserving diversity. The Council's greatest mistake, she said in her inauguration speech, was believing that difference meant weakness. They saw a galaxy of primitive species needing control. We see a galaxy of unique cultures ready to grow together. The Federation established new laws ensuring no species could dominate others. Military power was balanced. Technology was shared. Cultural exchange was encouraged but never forced. Earth, once dismissed as a primitive world, became known as the birthplace of galactic freedom. Humans were respected not for their technology or military might, but for their indomitable spirit that had inspired a revolution. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's strength wasn't in their weapons or their ships. It was in their unwavering resolve, their ability to unite others, and their refusal to accept oppression. As Se-Yoon looked out at the stars from the Federation's new capital, she remembered the Council's first mistake. They had thought humans would break under pressure. Instead, pressure had transformed humanity into something stronger, not just warriors, but leaders who could forge a better future for all species. The galaxy would never forget. Never make a human angry. But more importantly, never underestimate humanity's capacity to turn oppression into opportunity, enemies into allies, and defeat into victory.